So once you've mapped out the process with your team, you now ask for their input. Again, the best way to get buy-in for solving a problem, achieving a growth target, is to involve your team. So point number 2 is you assign owners. So for sales, this could be Mary, onboarding is Bob, scheduling is Frank, and production is Jim. The point is you've got an owner for each of the processes, because then you're starting to get accountability. And more importantly, in the room when you're process mapping this out, they're telling you things that don't exist on paper or in the systems. They'll suddenly tell you what actually happens outside of the system, what's happening in people's heads, the institutional knowledge that how you run the business. So that's where you ask Mary, Bob, Frank, and Jim, or whoever the owners are, these 2 specific questions. And this gets the constraints and your biggest wins for solving that revenue challenge or that growth target. The first question is, what's the most important problem to solve? What's the most important problem? The second question is, what can we automate? When you ask these 2 questions, people start to open up. They start to give you insights into actually what's happening on the front lines, in the business, on the floor. And that's where Mary starts realizing that Frank doesn't have everything he needs, or Frank is getting sales that are happening too much for him to actually deliver on. And that's exactly what we found with our COO friend. When they said that sales and intake process would break, what was actually happening is that sales was selling products that weren't in stock. As a result, production and scheduling couldn't keep up, and then customers were complaining. So what we did is work with their team to create a really simple report. We ran a report from the scheduling team all the way up to sales. That one report told sales what was in stock. Sounds simple, but just by giving the sales team the information about what was in stock and what would take longer to order meant they could set expectations with the customer. They could give them a promise date and delivery date that actually mattered and made sense and was accurate. And that reduced customer complaints overnight to near 0. Just that simple report. But we could only find that by getting the team in a room, assigning the owners, and asking them what's the most important problem to solve. And in this case, it was the customer complaints. Then what can we automate? We automated this report back to the sales team. And we knew to do this because we went through step number 4, which is where we fix the constraint based on the priorities. So you might be asking, how do we know to fix the scheduling constraint with the report first? And that's because when we asked what was the most important problem to solve, we got a lot of problems. But the point is, we categorized them. We categorize them and prioritize them based on a really simple framework, which will make it so much easier for you to make decisions. It's called the ICE framework. For every problem you have, or indeed any business idea you have, categorize it based on impact, confidence, and ease. So how much impact will that problem solve for the business in dollars or time? How confident are you in the ability to solve that problem? And how easy is it? On a scale of 1 to 10, how easy? Assign a number of 1 to 10 for each of these 3, and then compare that to all the other problems. Pick the one with the highest score and do that first. That's how you work through the constraints to fix your problems, which helps you achieve your board level targets.